Who's there? Water. Water who? What a wonderful day it is today. Hello, welcome. Please come in. Have you ever experienced an earthquake? The building was shaking for what seems like forever. It was pretty scary. I was always afraid we would get hit with one. We don't know if it's going to get worse or not, and there's nothing we can do about it except to go to a safe place to protect ourselves. What am I supposed to do if it happens? What we should do is move to an area that can protect us from falling debris, such as under a heavy table or desk. Stay away from windows and grass, and turn the stove off. Then don't move it, wait for it to pass. Also, be prepared with a go bag in case it's a very bad one, especially such as water batteries, flashlight, hard hats, money, some non-perishable food, and the first aid kit. Keep one at home and one in the office. Hopefully, I'll never have to worry about it. The most frightening natural disaster is an earthquake. Earthquakes are the deadliest of all natural disasters. Earthquakes are scary because we never know when one might happen. Japan is a seismically active country and has some of the most rigorous earthquake building standards in the world. Many of the changes to the Building Standards Act over the years were made after significant earthquakes, so we may see some additional amendment introduced in the future. Japan is a country that experienced numerous earthquakes. Many of the buildings in Japan are highly earthquake resistant. Dozens of plates of rock cover the earth. Intense strain and stress build up along boundaries where these plates meet. An earthquake occurs when the stress energy is suddenly released, because Japan lies just above the borders of four earth plates. It is suggested thousands of earthquakes a year, and thus is considered to be one of the world's most earthquake-prone countries. If a building's foundations sit on soft, overfilled and soil, the whole building may fall in an earthquake regardless of the advanced engineering techniques employed. Assuming, however, that the soil beneath structure is firm and solid, engineers can greatly improve how the building foundation system will respond to seismic waves. For example, earthquakes often knock buildings up from their foundations. One solution involves tying the foundation to the building so the whole structure moves as a unit. Although building codes are updated regularly, a major change to the Building Standard Act. Some buildings have undergone an analysis to compare the structure to the current building method. Older buildings may be retrofitted to bring them up to the code, but can be costly. The cost for this work is taken out of the building repair fund, but if the funds are insufficient, then apartment owners will be forced to bear the extra cost. Obtaining agreement from apartment owners for expensive work is not an easy process in order to carry out extra earthquake strengthening work. Engineers don't have to rely solely on the structure's inherent ability to dissipate the energy. In increasingly more earthquake-resistant buildings, designers are installing damping systems, active mass dampings. Example, the layer is on a heavy mass mounted to the top of the buildings and connected to viscous dampers that act like shock absorbers. When the building begins to oscillate, the mass moves on the opposite direction, which reduces the amplitude of mechanical vibrations. It's also possible to use a smaller damping devices on the building's stabilizer system. When a massive earthquake hit the western part of Japan more than a decade ago, a highway collapsed. Railroad and telephone lines were partially cut, and many buildings were toppled. In 1995, 7-magnitude Great Hanshin Awaji earthquakes wreaked great damage and havoc on Hyogo Prefecture. In the biggest natural disaster and post-war Japan, 6,000 people lost their lives. Some crashed to death on the buildings, others dying on the fires caused by a damper. The earthquake changed people's mind in Japan, which has highly advanced quake-resistant technologies, should do more to disseminate, spread information knowledge these technologies. Industry group engaged and developed quake-resistant technology. Before the quake, people would not accept seismic isolation technology. Thanks to the huge earthquakes, quake-resistant technologies grabbed the spotlight, and more Japanese buildings introduced the seismic isolation system or base isolation system, as it protected the structure by installing components between the buildings and its foundations, decoupled it from a shaking ground. A budget instrumentation, an earthquake simulation system. The hardware part earthquake simulation platform is constructed and installed with accelerometer. When we feel the tremors from the earthquake, we receive earthquake early warnings. When we are indoors, creating the room that will not become a deadly weapon in the event of the major earthquake. It is important to be prepared for major earthquakes. The TV may fall off the stand and furniture may fall over. Cupboards on shelves and books on bookshelves may fall. Window glasses might break and fall. Get away from any furniture or glass panes that could easily topple over. Protect ourselves by taking cover under the study table or a similar object. This means that it completely depends on the condition of the buildings. the type of dust, the strength, the type of earthquake, and so on. It also depends on where we need it to be. Hiding under the dust is not a bad thing, but depending on where we are, it may put us in danger. It is important to make a flexible decision based on the building we are in, then location we are in, and other factors. When we are outdoors, get away from structures like concrete blocks walls and watch out for falling objects such as bricks, glass, or signboards. Many of the reinforced block walls have collapsed and some vending machines have fallen over. Wall ties and the windows glass will break and fall. Some wooden buildings with low earthquake resistance will collapse, and concrete buildings with low earthquake resistance will have their walls and pillars damaged. Electricity, gas, and water supply will be interrupted in large areas. When the earthquake is expected to have maximum seismic intensity of 5 or lower or greater, this notified the people of the names of the earthquake predicted to have a seismic intensity of 5 or greater before intensity the tremor is alive. People are notified of this along with a special warning sound, conveying the weird means listed on the lights. Some people call emergency evacuation center in Japan worse than refugee camps because in most places people sleep on the floor of the school gym without partitions for privacy. Under such poor living conditions, evacuees may develop serious health problems and are weak, including babies and the elderly, are the ones who suffer most. With Japan having been hit hard by a number of natural disasters recently, it is time to improve conditions in evacuation centers. When the Great East Japan earthquake devastated the Tohoku region in 2011, the government created disaster prevention guidelines asking municipalities to set up separate toilets and changing rooms for men and women in emergency shelters, and to have female staff who can work more effectively with women and children. However, many shelters are set up after recent torrential rains and typhoons failed to meet these standards. The government created an expert panel that will discuss ways to make the nation's evacuation center more women and children friendly and will hammer out a proposal. Given the process, pressing the need to improve the quality of evacuation centers, the government should move faster. Climate change as a real. Climate change as exacerbating the wildfire crisis. Climate change continues to be a major global threat. Massive hurricanes, for example, frequently batters the United States and the Caribbean, while typhoons are causing even more damage than before in East Asia. In 2020, the United States and Australia also suffered the worst wildfires in history. California in particular is seeing wildfires every year that also grow further year by year. Hurricanes are fueled by heat and water vapor, wildfire by high temperatures and dryness in forest. And one of the main causes of these conditions is throughout to the change in sea surface temperature due to climate change.